so much for joining us for another episode on the LCI podcast. My name is Miranda Sullivan. I'm an associate pastor here at LifeChurch, and I am your host for today. I am so excited to be joined by my friends, my sisters, my co-laborers in Christ. We all serve here at LifeChurch together. This is Jessica Vigil. This is Felicia Buck.
Hello.
And this is Missy Compton.
Hello.
Hello, hello. Thank you all for being with me today. It's a pleasure to have you all. And there is definitely multiple things that are common among us, but the thing that's bringing us all together today is a little word called motherhood. And the juggling act of motherhood in general. We have children from young elementary age all the way up to seniors in high school. That's Jess and I, and multiples. So I have two, you have two, you have two, you have three. We've got boys and girls around here, just girls for us. So hopefully a little bit of a just a plethora, if you will, of experience, and I'm hoping to be helpful to someone today, someone listening in on our conversation. So I want to start off, and don't all jump in at once, but I'm the loudest one here, I know. I kind of want to see, how do you juggle motherhood without feeling like you're losing yourself? Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. What do you do? What does that mean to you? Does that, create feelings in you want to maybe not explain, or, can you share with us today, any of you?
Sure. I would say, don't make it so difficult. Like finding yourself in motherhood, it's not this big grand idea. It could be as simple as putting on a podcast, cleaning your house. Cleaning your house, putting on a podcast while your kids are sleeping. Maybe while they're sleeping, putting on your favorite TV show, something like that. Like don't complicate. Yeah. Yourself, I guess. And
right. That's
motherhood.
Good. Right. Yeah. Don't. I think where you're coming from, and correct me if I'm wrong, but what I'm kind of feeling from that is that social media life that we're comparing ourselves to constantly. Like I want to be it's not really the Pinterest mom anymore. I want to be the Instagram mom, or I don't have TikTok, but let's just say hypothetically TikTok mom. It's back, by the way. I don't know if you've heard that. But I think that makes a lot of sense, though, right? What about you guys, Felicia? What about you?
I would say just setting a schedule and having protected time for yourself or with your spouse. One thing that Derek and I do is we have a shared Google Calendar between the two of us. So we're putting all of our things in there, and it immediately gets shared back and forth with us. So real time, we know what's going on. We know when practices are. And so I don't ever really have this feeling of being overwhelmed when I have everything scheduled.
That's good. And that speaks to those that are more organized. Yeah. I think I want to be organized. Doesn't mean I always am. What about you, Missy?
I think just so much of the time we're so hard on ourselves as mothers and feel like we want to do everything. Realistically, we can't. So you just got to do the best that you can. Mm-hmm. And most of the time, almost all the time, that is more than enough. And we still beat ourselves up feeling like we're not doing enough. And and social media does play a big part in that. Everybody shows their perfect life. And so then we see that and want to have this perfect life and feel like we're failing all the time. Right. And most of the time you're not. You're doing very well.
I love that. You're enough. You are enough. We focus so much on wanting to be that perfect mother. We lose who is important to us. And what I mean by that is the me that's important, is the real me. Right. Not the, I want to be like Jess. There's a lot of reasons I want to be like you, but I have to understand that I can't. Yeah. I can learn from you, and I can learn values from you. I can learn from you. I can learn from you. Mm-hmm. And I have taken things from you and thought, that's kind of nice. I like how they do that. I'm going to do that, But at the end of the day, I am me. Mm-hmm. Felicia's Felicia, Missy's Missy, Jess is Jess. And when we can embrace ourselves, then all of a sudden, I think it's easier to juggle. Okay, so let's see if we can count it all. So church activities, outside kid activities, outside of school. Then we've got school, personal, stuff. You got to take care of yourself,
Right.
and have some you time every now and then. And then, for the four of us, we all have spouses. So that's important too. And if you don't have spouses, then that's a whole nother dynamic to
Right.
motherhood, is either co-parenting with somebody that's not a spouse to you, or having a blended family. So there's just a lot going on. So Felicia, you mentioned this Google Calendar thing. I love that. So I don't do Google Calendar, but I do, and maybe you guys do. We do the family shared calendar on our Apple phones, and so I can choose whether it's going to be on my calendar with just me and my husband, or if it includes my girls, because they're older. They both have phones. They both have calendars, and I'm trying to get them adjusted, I guess you could say. So then that way the oldest has a job now, so she puts her job hours in the calendar. And so I'm hoping that will benefit me in it being a good way that I can have me time. And I don't expect to have a lot of me time, but I do think it's important. And so I kind of want to talk on that for a second. Maybe Missy, you could start us off. Me time, how important is that to you? What does that look like to you?
I think to everybody it can be different. And we're probably all not great at giving ourselves me time. Some probably better than others. But me
Right.
time, like even for me, sometimes just going to work, even though it's work, it's still my time to do something outside of my cleaning the house, taking care of the kids, and I enjoy it. And so that can be me time. This year I'm trying to do a little bit better, getting up before the kids, and just
okay.
setting. I feel better when I do that, and you have a little time to yourself just to kind of figure out the day, figure out your schedule.
Right.
And so it can be simple like that, or just taking the time. Like I like to play pickleball. So
Okay.
I like to take time, out of the week. I do feel guilty if I'm doing it very much at night. So I try to do it like during the day when the kids are busy at school and it's not going to take away from time with them. Just doing things that you like. And like I said, it can even be going to work if you enjoy work, or just going.
Things that you find either enjoyment or fulfillment in, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And making it, it doesn't have to be me time like maybe, social media says, well, I didn't get a chance. I haven't had a pedicure in I don't know how long, just as a great example here.
Yes.
But other times it's like when I just need some peace and quiet, and so I'm like, what am I going to do? I could either go to Starbucks, because when I go to Starbucks, then I want to take my laptop and then I want to work. And so I'm like, no, I can't put my laptop in my lap if I am sitting in the pedicure chair. I mean, I could, but I won't, because that's kind of rude to the person, doing the job. So, but I don't know. What about you? When we talk about work, which is something I did not say on the list earlier.
Yeah.
So thank you for adding that, because that's so true. We're all working moms. We all work. Whether it be at home or at the church or at, a secular job or to school, we're working. Does that feel like you time, or how does that turn into you time? How do you make that work?
Well, with my job, I work by myself, so I can put on a podcast or an audiobook or music, and I can listen to a book or a podcast while I'm working. So that's actually really nice,
Yeah.
because I'm working plus I'm actually enjoying.
That's good.
Multitasking.
Something.
I
Yes.
love it. I
Yes.
love it. Yeah.
But I will say,
Yes.
me time looks different now than it did when my kids were younger.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I was talking to my husband about this, and I said, when the kids were younger, like I feel like the culture really wasn't about me time. Like going to Target by myself, that was me time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like going to the grocery store by myself, that was me time.
Right.
But I
remember that.
never,
Oh my
I
goodness.
never really like thought of it like me time though. And it's like whenever I got those little moments, I was happy. And of course, your husband can watch your kids.
Yeah.
But like that was me time. But now that my kids are older and they're independent, self-sufficient, they can drive.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's totally different.
It is.
Now I'm like, I have too much me time. Like now I'm like,
I hear that.
yeah.
Okay.
I'm like,
okay.
well, when are you going to be home? You know, like,
yeah, we
You
want to
need
do
more
this.
kid time.
yeah. Now I want them because, you know, they have their own lives now. And now it's like, me
Such a
time
good
is all
point.
the time.
Yeah, no, because it's the season that you're in.
Yes.
So then that would lead me to Felicia because
Yes,
you
me
have the
time
youngest.
is very different.
What do you do to recharge?
I wouldn't say I get me time from going to my job because I'm pouring into others. I have moments within my day where I have a break, but my me time is I try to set time like in the morning to get up early.
Okay.
I'm usually up probably a full hour before the girls are up. So that's me time, whether I'm praying or I'm trying to get some exercise in, or sometimes I just lay there. So me time could look different each morning. And then on my way to work, that's like my worship music and I power myself up. And then on the way home, it's probably more like listening to a podcast or a book. Because I like it to be a little more chill on my way home.
Like
and
a decompress?
Yeah, like a
Okay.
decompress, just
Yeah.
because it's,
Overstimulating.
yeah, it could be
Yes.
overstimulating throughout
No,
the day.
that's
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
And then in the evenings, that's like our protected time. Once the girls go to bed, we'll try to go on a walk together, or we'll watch something, or just sit and talk. Sometimes Derek is doing something and I'm just sitting by him. So we taught the girls when they were really young, like bedtime is bedtime, and they know that they don't get out of their bed. They're not asking us for things. And so that time in the evening is protected to us. I feel like
I love
for
that
us
you say that.
to
Protected.
be our time. And
Yeah.
and they know that.
Yeah, I know. I like that, and it puts a different spin on it than saying, "Oh, I scheduled time with you this evening
Yeah.
as my spouse." You're like, "No, this is protected time."
Yeah.
That really means a lot. Like just thinking about how I enjoy spending time with my husband. You know, my me time can be absolutely alone. I recharge by being alone, and it feels good. I also like to work, and so I like to be on the computer and
be
creating
busy.
things and being busy. But it's really nice to just we'll put on some just light jazz music in the background, and we'll both sit on the couch and just pull our phones out, and we're playing a game, or sometimes we play games with each other with like that game pigeon. We'll play like Battleship or something. And we're
Yeah,
like,
that's fun.
look at us spending time together, you know? But I like the idea of it being protected time.
Yeah.
That's really neat. As the kids get older, so Missy, I'm going to jump to you. You've got teens, you've got one still in elementary school, but kind of making his way into middle school. What's been that shift for you from kids elementary school to, man, just in the last year and a half, 2 years, so much has changed for you? How does that look for you and Ryan, your husband?
I do feel like it's been different because we had the same thing. Like the kids went to bed at a certain time. We had our time to do whatever. I got the house ready for the next day and then just spent time together. And I feel like we're in this like in between where Ryder still goes to bed early, but the other ones like to stay up late. And so I'm having to like remind myself, like they can put themselves to bed. And I've been trying to make, like Zariah does great, but just trying to keep them accountable, like go to bed at this time. But
good.
I can go
that's good.
still have my time and not have to put them to bed. That's where we're at right now. I'm still working on that.
Yeah, no, that's good.
But sometimes it is hard when you have kids like in multiple stages, where you have ones that are very self-sufficient, like Jeremiah and Jessica, they just do their own thing. And then I still have the one that needs a little bit more attention, and he's the baby. And
He's the baby.
it's like that they grow up so fast, and you realize that with the other ones that they grow up so fast. And then like, this is the last one that you get to baby along still. But it is so important to still have that time.
Right.
I think that's important too when I think about, so with my two girls, they're pretty far apart. So I've got 13 and 17 and a half, and going to be 18 this year, like yours. And I think, so they're both girls, and although they are at odds with each other a lot, Savannah, the younger one, likes to go with the older one. And a lot of times the older one allows that. And it's like, yeah, you can go with me. We can go do this, we can do. So then all of a sudden I feel like I have two seniors or two older, because then I'm like, no, she's just 13. Or if she's out with them, I'm like, no, don't forget, you need to be home before 9. And Madison's like, what? Because maybe her normal curfew would be 10 or 9:45 or something, depending on the situation. And I'm like, you have your little sister, and so, not trying to downplay, the fact that they're very respectful and observant of the rules, but last night, perfect example, I had the same conversation with both of them, but it went totally different with each one because I'm walking into my 13-year-old's room at bedtime and talking to her about something that, I've noticed this, and this is what it has to do with screen time, and this is what I'd like to see change. This is why, I trust you and this and this and that, but this is where you're going to be held accountable. Yeah, absolutely. We're good. Totally understand. Mom, maybe you could put this and this into place just so I don't forget, because I don't want to get in trouble. I want to obey. It's very nice. So respectful. And then I go in the next room. She's also respectful, but it's a totally different conversation. It's not a matter. I'm not looking at my 17-year-old. I'm just going to be transparent here. And I'm not telling her the phone goes off at this moment at 9 o'clock. No, I'm saying I think it would be a good idea if at this time of night you stopped being on your phone. I'm thinking about the levels of melatonin and looking at the screen. And we've had this conversation before, but I've gotten away from it. We haven't discussed this, and you act tired. And I've been reading this book. Oh my goodness! Once it's done, I might refer it to people. I have to finish it first, but and I say that because it's not a Christian author, so I always like to read the whole book before I refer anything that I don't know the author or how they work. But the point is, it's talking about how there's been a collapse, if you will, in some of the ways that we parent, and one of those ways is treating the child their age. And so I want to treat my 17-year-old as a 17-year-old,
right?
But I also I want to keep her as young as possible for as long as possible. And what does that look like? There's all these books out there telling us what it looks like. But for me, sometimes I read the books, tell me if I'm wrong, and I'm like, that doesn't apply to my girls. My girls are different, or my kids are different, or my kids are worse, my kids are better. So it's really one of those things where you have to make that decision with you and your spouse. It's discipline. It's discipline of the mind, discipline of our actions. I have to be disciplined to make sure that I can be the accountability partner they need, while also developing friendship on a unique level, because I'm a mother first. I'm a parent first. I'm going to be a teacher to them and all of that first. But I want to have time with my spouse, and I don't want it to be all about the girls, but they're both different. Anyway, it can be a lot. It can be a lot. I think kind of getting back to some just technical tips. Technical might not be the right word exactly, but just some tips so that we can share with people. So first off, sharing a calendar is great with the spouse. I think that's wonderful. Do you do a wall calendar?
We do. I have like a chalkboard calendar. I try to update it every Sunday. But it just kind of has what everybody's doing throughout the week. So then every time it's right in the mudroom when we leave for school, everybody knows like what the day looks like, what the week looks like. And I feel like it is really nice for everybody just to see it. I like it for myself just because it reminds me, because I feel like with motherhood, you're pulled in so many different directions. You have a million things going through your brain, and I forget things all the time.
Yes.
And I feel like as I get older, I forget more and more. So it is really good to have that. It's really helpful.
Sure.
And we do, like, my daughter puts a lot of her stuff on the calendar, so I see anything that she has scheduled, which is great because she has a very busy schedule, as you probably know.
Yeah. They're busy girls.
They are busy girls.
What about you, Jess? Do you guys do a calendar?
We don't do a family calendar, but what we normally do is the night before we'll go over the next day.
Oh, okay.
So usually it happens at prayer time. So we normally pray as a family before we go to bed, and then we'll just go like pray. Like we'll pray, and then we'll be like, hey, well, tomorrow Mom has work, Dad has work, Madison has appointment, Mason has school, or he has to work, he has a piano lessons. So we'll just kind of go over the next day the night before.
Nice. What is so? She's caught my interest. So prayer time. So tell me what that looks like in the evenings. Is it just like you guys in the living room? Or are you meeting in their bedrooms? Like, how does that look?
Yeah, so it differs. So they used to all come in my room. I would be in bed already, and then and then the kids would come in, and like Madison would lay in bed with me and get all snuggled in, and Mason would come in the bed with me, and then Jeremiah will come in, and then we'll just ask for prayer requests. You guys have any prayer requests? Usually it's a test or something.
Yeah.
And then so we'll pray prayer requests, and then we'll personal things they have going on, we'll pray about that. So that's what it used to be, but lately now it's like meeting in the living room, and we're all praying in the living room, and it's just like it's not like a huge
season.
prayer
Like a family
meeting.
tag-in.
Yeah, it's just like prayers, and we have the kids pray. Like, Mason, would you like to pray tonight? Madison will pray, or I'll pray.
Yeah.
So it's kind of neat.
That's great. I mean, think about it. Like, how many of us have jobs, and when we have teams at those jobs, we tag in with our teams all the time.
Yeah.
Why not only tag in on a daily basis, but that foundation of you're doing it with prayer. I think that's just so beautiful, because I get busy, and then I'm like, go to bed, good night.
Yeah.
But we used to do that when they were little. We would pray all the time. Well, not all the time. Yes, we prayed all the time. No, we prayed every night like that.
Yeah.
And now I do feel there are definitely nights where I'm like, man, I just miss my girls. They're already in bed. Everything's all done. The lights are all off, and I'm laying in bed feeling like I missed something somewhere. But I think maybe that's a great suggestion. Now, your girls are a little younger. How do you do it?
We try to take turns in their rooms, but we meet together every night too. And when I was little, my mom would sing a song to us called Jesus Tender that her parents sang to her. And so we sing that together most weeknights. It's hard on Wednesdays, and Saturday and Sunday we're all busy. We either get home late, but most weeknights we meet together, we sing that, and we pray. And what's nice is because we're in a multi-generational home, both grandmas live with us, so they'll sometimes come and sing it with us. And it's funny, whenever we meet in one of the rooms, like the dogs hear it and they know, and they come running too. And so and they laugh. Yeah, they all know. So we gather together, and the girls have these little like space projectors in their rooms. And so we turn that on, and there's like twinkling stars. And so that's going while we pray together. And so it's fun.
And it sounds like you've made a very repetitious, not schedule, because sometimes it's not so firm, but it's just, we just do the same thing on repeat every night, and it's that consistency. Yeah. I am not great at being consistent with, like, I'm going to work out every morning, but being consistent in a place of prayer and family and children and spouse and those things, it's kind of like always remembering to put him in the middle really does help balance that juggling act. I could throw all the balls up in the air, and when my life is dedicated to Christ, 9 times out of 10, he's like, oh, here, and give them back to me, and I'm like, I can't do this, and then he's like, well, let me help you, that type of thing. And so what I'm hearing from you guys is that you're building your families on this foundation of, we rely on the Lord, and we're going to end our day with the Lord. For a little bit, and Missy's talked to me about this separately, so I'm gonna call you out on it. So my girls and I, we used to meet in the mornings and read our Bible and pray, and then it gets a little bit more difficult. They really enjoy it when full school first starts, because it's like, oh, we have to get up early, but we're gonna get up early with Mom, And then it's kind of, it's dwindled off, I'm not gonna lie, and it doesn't happen as much. But you've been doing that with your youngest, and you said some really cool things about that. Would you mind sharing that?
So I had kind of already made up my mind. Like, it's every year I feel like I make these new goals. I'm going to read the Bible all the way through, and then I get through part of it, and it's life happens. And then I end up finding like, a devotional or something and going back to that. So this year I was like, you know what? I'm going to read the Bible in chronological order, mix it up a little bit, and maybe I would enjoy it more. Not that
Love
I don't
it.
enjoy it, but it's easy
Yeah.
to just
Yeah.
get, I don't know.
Stuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyways, I started doing that, and that was part of my getting up early, sitting by the fireplace.
Like the story Bible, like that?
No, just a regular Bible. I
Okay.
just downloaded like a way to do it in chronological order.
Okay.
So Ryder has to be at school early, so he gets up earlier than the other kids. He asked me what I was doing. I told him, and he's like, well, we should just do it together. So I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to tell him no, even though
Yeah.
this has been kind of like in my mind, this was like me time.
Yeah, sure.
But it's been great because he's accountable to me. Like, he's like, oh, Mom, like I tell him, let's go sit down by the fireplace. You need to hurry up. You don't have much time. We got to get, let's do our reading.
Right.
And then he'll be like, Mom, are you ready to read the Bible? So we kind of hold each other accountable. And it's
love
been
it.
fun. It's been good. And it's Micah and Zariah they love to read the Bible. Micah's also doing it on just kind of on his own in the morning. So he'll come down and he'll kind of listen in. And then I'll do like a little just summary of the chapter or whatever, or the book that we were doing.
Sure, yeah.
And then the three of us will talk, together about it. And so that's been kind of fun. And I feel like
I love
it's
that.
trying
Yeah.
just to help Ryder kind of build, or, learn the importance of putting that into your daily
Yeah, that's
walk.
good.
Yeah. And the fact that
Yeah.
he did it, I love that. I love that. Hey, Mom, what are you doing? That just, I don't know, nothing like leading our children by actions, and I think that's what spoke to me the most when I saw that or heard that, I should say. I just thought, Lord, let my actions be what bring my kids to Christ. I don't want to in this juggling act that we're doing. I don't want to focus so much on church work. And you all
Right.
probably understand what I'm talking about. I don't want to focus so much on other people's children. I do love other people's children, but I can't let that be my only,
Right.
my
Yeah.
only outside of ministry. I want my children to see a life just that you go through ups and downs, you go through hard times, you go through the mountains and the valleys, but when you're with Jesus, so much of it is just putting it in his hands and learning how to walk in that line of faith.
Right.
I think just to kind of wrap up the conversation, the best advice and this is a tall order, okay? The best advice, I want you to be thinking about it, that you could give a mom that's maybe not at your season yet. Okay. So whether it's a season of, newborns or younger children, or, for you and me, elementary children, for you, babies, whatever, someone that's not, where you're at with your season, as far as your children's ages, kind of think about what could you give to them that you wished you had received. And I'll be perfectly honest. And one of you said it. Now I can't remember which one it was, but stop worrying about everything, every little thing. We judge ourselves. We judge others. We don't mean to. I don't want to be, a judge of others, but that's what we do.
Right.
And just relax. It's going to be okay, and enjoy the moments. And when you are frustrated and you're mad, that's okay too. It's okay to want to have a night off. I wish someone would have told me it's okay for your baby to be with your mama and you go and go out to dinner with your husband. It is okay. The guilt was just so overwhelming. So for me, and especially hearing you guys talk about it, I think, oh, yes, all of this is such good advice. But is there something that sticks out to any of you? I don't know if anyone want to go first.
I have some things that
Okay.
stick out to me. It's okay to cry, because then afterward you feel better.
Okay. Excellent.
And sometimes that helps you like reset if you just step away. Like even if your kid is, like I'm thinking of when my kids were little, like infant, toddler, just leave them where they are and just step away and just like cry or scream or something. And that's okay, because then you can have a little reset moment. And
Love that.
also give yourself grace,
Yes.
because you're going to make mistakes and nobody's perfect. And yeah, it's okay. God
Yeah.
gives us grace. We need to also give ourselves grace.
Yeah, I love that. Grace, you're enough. I think you said that earlier. You know, give yourself grace. It's okay to cry. It's okay to mess up. It's
Right.
okay to, you know, release the guilt. It's okay.
Yes.
It's going to be okay. What do you think, Missy?
I mean, I have a lot of stuff too. I feel like, first of all, we're blessed to have an incredible church and a church that we
Yes, amen.
want to be involved in so many
Yes.
ways. And, but I feel like, you know, my kids are a little bit older now, and I feel like you go through stages as your kids go through stages. You go through stages as a family where, you know, during this stage in life, you're good to help out and do all of these things, and you have the time to be able to do that. And then you go through another stage, and maybe that stage puts you in a position where you need to focus more on your kids, and you can't be as involved in church, but that doesn't mean that you're not doing enough for God. There's sometimes when we just need to step back and say no to things that maybe we don't want to, but know that your kids need you right now. And I feel like we kind of went through some stages where we were super, super involved and then stepped away a little bit. And your kids then go through the next phase, and now you're able to get more involved again. And we're kind of at that stage where we're like, now we're back into it and we're getting more involved.
Yes.
And I feel like sometimes you don't see that when you're in the middle of it, and you just feel like, oh, I want to do this and I want to be involved in this, but I can't. And you have all this guilt. And that's one thing I feel like when we are in a church like this that we all want to help out, we struggle with that. And it's okay to go through that. It's okay to be in a phase where you cannot give 100% to the church because your family needs you.
Right. Yes, serving, there's only so much capacity that you have to be able to serve.
Right.
And so if your family and your children, especially babies or sometimes even toddlers, are harder. At least with an
Yeah.
infant, you can, you know, have somebody hold them and you can be involved, or they can just sit in their little carrier and sleep. When they get a little older and they get vocal, you know, then it's like, oh man, this is very difficult, you know. I love that, though, understanding that they are not the problem. They are not the hindrance. They are a blessing.
Right.
And looking at them as, you're my priority.
Right.
And The Best Yes, that's a great book. I will refer that one. Lisa Turkhurst, I think that's how you say her last name.
Yeah.
That's a great book. And I agree. There's going to be times where you do have to say no. And telling a younger mother that is probably going to be the best advice they could ever receive.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
hey, it's okay to say no.
Right.
If you're juggling too many and you keep dropping, maybe one of those balls is meant to be out,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, I feel like you burn yourself out. You give and give and give, and then you feel like you're not giving as much as you should be probably to your family, and something's going to suffer.
Something's going to suffer.
And I
That's
feel like
so good.
Our family needs to be the priority, because there's many other servants in the church who can pick up your slack during your time where that's just something that you can't do at this time.
Right.
Not that you can't pick that back up when your kids enter the next phase where they're not needing you quite as much and you can do more. But I feel like you're always, you know, we're taught to serve, 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 and it's great. But just know that you will go through stages where you're just not going to be able to serve as much. And that doesn't mean that you're not living for God and you're not doing what He wants you to do. That's just
love
where
that.
you're
Like
at.
your family is your ministry during
Yeah.
that time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I would like to
Yeah,
Absolutely.
you're teaching your kids how to do, like right now with your girls, and they're at such a good age with the Bible quizzing and all of that. You're doing so much of that with them, and you're able to do that. There's probably things at church that you would probably like to be more
Right.
involved in and do more with, but right now is not probably the time. Like, you need to pour it into your girls.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Yeah.
I love that. What were you going to say, Jess?
Yeah, I like to think motherhood is ministry because you're discipling your children.
Right. Exactly.
Like you're teaching them, you know, life basically.
Yeah.
They're like your first disciples.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, and what better way that motherhood is ministry. You're serving your family, your children.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that makes you feel, to me, I'm just speaking from my opinion. When you say something like that to me, I think, oh, so I did the right thing by putting my kids first.
Right.
Yes.
Oh, good. And I did the right thing by putting my family, because sometimes it's my husband and my girls, or
Right.
there's a time where I need to put my husband first because he's been on the back burner for a while, and he and I, man, we got to remain friends and got to, like each other. Kids will come and go, but you and I have to spend the rest of our life together.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess I got to, like you. No, but I do. I love that. Motherhood is ministry. I'm getting so many great nuggets. I hope those that listen in get it too. You're enough. It's okay to cry. It's okay to make a schedule and not follow it sometimes. That's all right. I heard something just recently and I loved it because I'm such a scheduler. So Felicia knows, I'm like, okay, like every box in my calendar has a different color. So I know exactly what I'm doing all day long. It drives my husband insane. But I like it when it's like, this is the plan, but there's room.
Mm-hmm.
So this is on the agenda, but if it doesn't happen in this order, that's okay. Like if I get up in the morning and I really need to try to get strong. So I'm really trying to lift weights every morning. And if I don't get to it, it doesn't mean that I can't do it later after breakfast.
Right.
It's like I'm not going to just throw it out because I didn't get it when it's on my list. Well, that
Right.
was from 6 to 6:30 and I didn't do it, So I'm trying to be more grace,
Yes.
more patience with myself. We offer it to everyone else.
Right.
Why not offer it to ourselves? How dare we talk to ourselves the way Jesus would never talk to us? That is a commitment I made about 2 years ago. I was like, I am not going to talk to myself in a way that would make Jesus unhappy.
Yeah.
If Jesus wouldn't say it to me, I can't say it to me. If I can't say it to someone else, in a good way, like I don't mind constructive criticism, absolutely. Bring it on. Well, I hate it to be honest, but bring it on because I do like to grow, But my point being, nonetheless, is hey, if I wouldn't dare say anything mean to you. I love you. You mean something to me. Why would I try to find something mean to say about you? And yet I'll look in the mirror and do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Or I'll think it while I'm looking at social media and seeing these moms with the perfect houses and everything is spotless. And I'm like, okay, my house is clean, but it's not always tidy. You know what I mean? The germs are gone, but the toys are there, whatever the case may be. That's not as much my season of life anymore. I kind of miss it, but I'm happy. No toy boxes in the living room now. So that's really nice.
Must be nice.
Must be nice. No. Well, I think it's been such a joy not only to be with each other today, but to hear so many great little nuggets of wisdom. Thank you for your experience, bringing it to the table. I know it's out of the box for all of you. You're all kind of shy. And so for you to say yes just meant so much to me. So thank you for being my friend. Thank you for being my sister. And we'll catch up again next time, right?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us on the LCI podcast.
You can listen more on our Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and be sure to subscribe on our YouTube channel, LifeChurch Presents, for more future content.
Again, thank you, and we'll see you next time.